Is here with a roundup of all that is happening in the commodity and currency markets. What's catching the eye, Manisha? Morning.
Hi, morning, Prashant. I can tell you one thing, that a lot of support for the equity markets could be coming in from commodities and currencies as well, starting with the crude oil prices, and we are trading nearly a percentage point lower in the Asian markets. But even with that, when you look at this week, we are up nearly 6% for the US crude oil prices, and the Brent is also inched up by nearly 3%. That, of course, is a weekly move, but when you look at a monthly move, it is anywhere between 16 to 20% of gains that the crude oil prices are putting forth for the month of June as well. Also take a look at the Indian rupee, because we have seen some appreciation come back onto that one from 69 kind of levels yesterday. We have some gains there, but the dollar index is closing this quarter nearly with 5.5 to 6% of gains. So that, of course, has been one major factor that has led to a lot of volatility in many of those commodities and currencies. Moving on, should take a look at the precious metal space, because we have seen constant declines on this. Gold actually is putting in a worst monthly decline for the month of June since November 2016. We have seen nearly 1.5% decline for this week, and the gold prices are down nearly 4% for this month as well. Not so far behind is silver, down 2% for this week and 2.5% down for this month as well. The base metal prices, of course, have been supportive for the equity markets today, where we have seen some bargain buying after a very sharp sell-off in the recent many days. So if you look at the copper prices, we are off those 11-week highs that we saw onto that one. Zinc is seeing some strength. Shanghai lead is trading at a 19-month high, and that clearly, of course, is the metal movement for this week, where we have seen the ferrous metals do quite well. So steel and iron ore are closing the week positive, but the precious metals and the base metals are still closing the week negative, even with the kind of gains that we have seen in the day coming in today. Prathamesh Malia now joins us with the strategies on that same. Prathamesh, hi. We're closing the week, we're closing the month and the quarter as well today. And if whichever way you look, many of these commodities, especially metals, are closing all of that on the weaker side. Let's begin with gold and silver. And what is your sense with the kind of sharp declines that we have seen at $50 per ounce? How are you trading it?
Manisha, yes, with almost all the commodities a lot seen declining, I think we can see a little bit of bargain hunting. But just for the near term, I think for the precious metals, we are advising a buy side, and I think 30,600 you'll see again in this counter, which is almost a move of $30 from here on. 1250, as you rightly mentioned, the next move would possibly head towards $280. In Indian rupee translates out to be around 300-400 rupees. So in that sense, I would place a bet on gold for buy side, just to play 200-300 rupees move, but I'm really not bullish on gold for a longer term perspective. But as far as silver goes, I think 40,000 is what immediate near term targets are. I think we should buy at this current market price levels.
Prathamesh, I also want to talk about the metal space, where we have seen the zinc prices decline 4% in this week. But apart from that, the zinc is also closing the quarter, the worst quarter actually since 2015. So with the kind of complete sell-off that we have seen coming for zinc, how do you take the current levels?
Yeah, as far as zinc is concerned, I think it has seen double-digit growth in the past two consecutive years, and this year I think it's not really a year of zinc with inventories on the LME consistently on the increasing side. I think zinc would possibly be on pressure from here on. I think 190 is the near-term immediate targets if you're looking at. So I think I would not be on the buy side as far as zinc as a metal is concerned. I think selling is a better strategy. 190 is the immediate near-term targets that you would look at as far as zinc is concerned.
And one final word on the crude oil prices, because that clearly is the gainer across commodity space, whether it's agro or non-agro in this week, this month, this quarter as well. Are you looking at further gains?
I am a little bit in a dilemmatic scenario as far as crude is concerned, because it has gained very sharply in just few trading sessions, but it gives me a sense that a correction is due on this card. But looking at the trend, I would really not contradict the trend and say I would sell here or buy here. I would just wait and watch. I would just avoid crude for the time being, because just taking into consideration the fact that three big nations like Russia, US and Saudi Arabia are pumping in more than 11 million barrels, which makes me say that the shortage that is coming out from Venezuela and Iran would possibly be compensated by these three nations. So I think the scenario of a shortage of supplies is something which is not to be seen. I think oil price will possibly correct.
Okay, all right, Manisha, thanks very much for that. So that's the update coming in on the commodity and currency space. Some news coming in on Oxy